The girl who never spoke. The research base on planet Virex 9 was always busy. Humans and aliens worked together, fixing machines, studying samples, and keeping systems online. But not everyone was noticed. In the far corner of the base, there was a girl. She was an alien. Small, thin, and always quiet. Her skin was a soft blue and her hair was silver like moonlight. She wore the same brown uniform every day, and she never looked anyone in the eye. Most people didn't even know her name. She moved like a shadow, cleaning the halls, carrying tools, and disappearing before anyone said a word to her. But one human noticed her. His name was Jacob. He was a mechanic, strong and kind. He fixed broken engines and helped others without asking for anything in return. Jacob had seen the shy girl many times. She never spoke, never smiled. She only nodded when someone pointed, then quietly did what they asked. One day, Jacob watched as the girl struggled to carry a heavy metal part. Others passed her by, ignoring her. Jacob walked over and gently lifted the part from her hands. "You're stronger than you look," he said, smiling. The girl froze. Her eyes, big and purple, stared up at him in shock. She didn't speak. She didn't smile. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but no sound came out. Then she slowly bowed her head and walked away. Jacob was confused. Was she scared? He didn't mean to frighten her. He only wanted to help. Maybe she didn't understand his words, or maybe no one had ever spoken kindly to her before. That night, Jacob couldn't stop thinking about her. Her eyes looked like they held a storm of pain, silence, and something else, something buried deep. The next morning, Jacob saw her again. She was wiping down the control panels near the engine room. He waved at her. She stopped, stared, then quickly turned away. Later that day, he saw her in the cafeteria. She sat alone in the corner with no food on her tray, just water. No one sat with her. She looked small and lost. Jacob walked over and placed a wrapped snack on her table. "You should eat something," he said softly. The girl didn't move. After a moment, her trembling fingers reached for the snack. But then she looked around, nervous, almost panicked, and pulled her hand back. Jacob frowned. Something wasn't right. Why was she so afraid? As he turned to leave, he heard something. A whisper. "Thank you." It was barely a sound. So soft, he almost thought he imagined it. But when he turned, the girl's head was down. Her silver hair covered her face. Jacob smiled gently. "You're welcome," he said, and walked away. That night, a storm hit Virex 9. Wind howled outside, and the base shook slightly. Most workers stayed in their rooms. Jacob was heading back to his quarters when he heard it. A soft cry. A sob. Coming from the hallway near the storage room. He followed the sound. There, sitting against the wall with her arms wrapped around her knees, was the girl. Her uniform was wet from the leaky roof. She was shaking. "Hey," Jacob said softly, kneeling beside her. "Are you okay?" She didn't answer, but her body trembled harder. He noticed something on her wrist. A black band. It had red lights blinking slowly. He'd never seen her wear that before. "Is that a collar?" he whispered, shocked. Before he could ask more, she suddenly looked at him. Her eyes were full of fear and something else. A warning. She reached up and touched the collar lightly, then shook her head. Jacob understood. She couldn't talk. She wasn't allowed. Who would do this to her? He stood up and took off his jacket. Without saying a word, he gently placed it over her shoulders. She looked up at him again, this time confused. "You don't have to speak," he said. "Just know, you're not invisible." He turned and walked away. Behind him, the girl held the jacket close. For the first time, her eyes didn't look so empty. Something had changed. Whispers behind the wall. That night, the base was quiet. Lights flickered in the long metal halls. Machines hummed in the distance. Most workers were asleep, but Jacob couldn't sleep. His mind was full of questions. Why was that shy girl crying? In the hallway? Why did she wear a collar with blinking lights? And why did she look so scared when someone was kind to her? He sat on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. Thinking about her strange eyes, she whispered thank you, even though it hurt her. Then he heard something, a strange, low sound, like a whisper behind a wall. Faint, but real. Jacob sat up. It came again. A voice, small, broken, just outside his room. He grabbed his tool light and opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty, but the sound was louder now. It was coming from the wall itself. Jacob knelt down and touched the metal panel. It was warm. He leaned closer. The sound was clearer now. An alien voice. Whispering in fear. It was her. Jacob quickly opened a nearby vent. He followed the narrow tunnel carefully, crawling on his hands and knees. The voice was just ahead. After a few turns, he found a small hidden space behind the wall. There she was, the girl. She sat in a tight corner, her arms wrapped around her knees, whispering into a small broken comm device. Her back was turned to him. Her voice was soft, shaking, and full of sadness. Jacob listened quietly. I can't leave. They watch everything. I'm not allowed to talk. I'm sorry, Mother. I tried to be strong. His heart sank. She's been contacting someone. Secretly. Her family? Then the girl suddenly stopped talking. She froze. Her head turned, slowly, and her eyes met Jacob's. For a second, no one moved. Her face went pale. She looked down, then grabbed the comm device and tried to hide it, but it was too late. Her hands trembled. The blinking collar on her neck began to flash faster. Jacob raised his hands calmly. It's okay, he said gently. I won't tell anyone, I promise. The girl shook her head. Tears formed in her wide, glowing eyes. She tried to speak, but only a choked sound came out. I'm not here to hurt you, Jacob said. I heard you, and I wanted to make sure you're safe. She blinked, surprised. Jacob pointed to her collar. Is it tracking you? She nodded slowly. He stepped forward. Let me help you. She hesitated. Then, slowly, she reached out and placed the broken comm device in his hand. Jacob looked at it. It was old, damaged, burned in some parts, but the small screen still had one message blinking. Please come home. We miss you. Jacob looked at her with soft eyes. Who did this to you? The girl didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to her collar, then drew a symbol in the dust with her finger. A circle with 3 sharp claws inside. Jacob stared. He'd seen that symbol before. It belonged to a private alien security company, known for owning workers. She wasn't just shy. She wasn't just quiet. She was a prisoner. Suddenly, the red lights on the collar blinked rapidly. Beep, beep, beep. Her body tensed. Her hands flew to her neck. Jacob's eyes widened. What's happening? She mouthed one word. Punishment. Jacob acted fast. He grabbed a small pulse tool from his belt and pressed it to the collar's side. The lights flickered, then dimmed. The beeping stopped. The girl gasped for air, falling into his arms. Jacob held her gently. I've got you. It's okay now. They sat in silence for a while. Then the girl, still shaking, pointed at herself and said one word. Lena. Her name. Jacob smiled softly. Lena. I'm Jacob. Her lips moved again, trying to repeat. Jacob. It was the first time she ever said a human's name. Back in his room, Jacob placed the broken comm device on his workbench. He had a plan. He was going to fix it. He was going to send her voice home. But more than that, he was going to find out who put that collar on her and why no one stopped it. Something was very wrong at this base, and Jacob had just started uncovering the truth. The secret in her eyes, Jacob worked late into the night. Lena's broken comm device sat open on his desk. Wires, cracked circuits, and alien tech filled the small workspace. He fixed machines every day, but this was different. This wasn't just about tools. This was about saving someone who had been forgotten, someone who had never been seen. The next morning, Jacob spotted Lena outside the supply room. She was cleaning the floor, head down, eyes low, like always. But when she saw him, her body tensed, and then something changed. She looked up. Their eyes met, and for the first time she didn't look away. Her eyes, purple and glowing, seemed to shimmer. Not with fear this time, but with something else, like a message hidden deep inside. Jacob blinked. For a second he saw light move across her eyes like a code. Not random, not natural. A pattern. He approached slowly and whispered, "Lena, your eyes. They're trying to tell me something, aren't they?" She looked around nervously. Then, without speaking, she tapped her fingers on her leg in a rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. It repeated again. Jacob's heart skipped. He recognized it. Morse code. He waited for the message. Lena's eyes flashed with soft light as her fingers moved again. DANGER. WATCHING. DONT. TRUST. Jacob's skin went cold. Someone's watching us, but who? He stepped closer and whispered, "Who's watching? Where?" Lena shook her head and pointed up to the ceiling. The cameras. She wasn't allowed to speak, but her eyes, they were free. Later that day, Jacob met with a friend who worked in security, a grumpy human named Ross. He was loud, rough, but honest. "Hey, Ross," Jacob said casually. "Ever notice that girl with the silver hair? The quiet one?" Ross frowned. "That one? Yeah, barely talks. Some alien company loaned her to us. Don't know why she's here, honestly." Jacob leaned in. "You ever check the cameras in her hallway?" Ross scratched his head. "That sector always shows clean footage, never any noise or alerts. Why?" Jacob's jaw tightened. "Because she's not safe. And I think someone wants her to stay invisible." That night, Jacob left a small mirror under one of the cameras in the hallway. He had a theory, and he was right. The camera wasn't real. It was a fake. Just a blinking light. No wires, no connection to security, which meant someone had disconnected it on purpose. Whoever controlled Lena didn't want anyone watching her. Back at the workshop, Jacob gave her the repaired comm device. She held it gently, like it was a piece of her soul. He activated the signal. "Try speaking." She stared at the device and scared. Then slowly she pressed the side button and whispered, "Mother, it's me. I'm still alive." Tears filled her eyes. A voice came back, broken by static but real. "Lena, is it really you? We thought you were gone." She dropped the device and covered her mouth, sobbing silently. Jacob picked up the comm. "She's safe with me. I'll protect her." The voice replied, "Then you are now part of our family, human, and part of our fight." That night, Lena gave Jacob a small chip, a memory shard. She pointed to it, then to her eyes. Jacob plugged it into his reader. Files opened, videos, documents, images. It showed everything. Lena wasn't just a cleaning girl. She was a royal messenger, part of a lost noble house. She had information that could expose a powerful alien syndicate involved in slavery, and her collar? It was not just to silence her. It was to erase her memory slowly, until she forgot who she really was. But her eyes, her noble blood, still carried the truth. Jacob looked at Lena, stunned. "You're not just a prisoner," he whispered. "You're a key." She nodded slowly. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever, and in that moment Jacob knew. The shy girl who never spoke had a voice more powerful than anyone on this base. And soon, the whole galaxy would hear it. The collar she wore. Jacob stared at the memory chip again. Lena, the silent, trembling girl, was not a slave by birth. She was a royal messenger, a truth-bearer. Her bloodline carried information the galaxy's darkest people wanted to bury. And they almost did, by putting a collar around her neck, a collar that stole voices and memories. The next morning, Jacob waited by the cargo bay. He had taken apart old tracking collars before, on broken droids, not living beings. But Lena's collar was different, alive, smart, dangerous. As she walked toward him, her posture was stiff. She wore his old jacket now, too big for her small frame, but she clutched it like armor. He gently lifted the collar's edge. Small needles pressed into her skin. Tiny pulses flickered beneath it. Measuring her heartbeat, tracking her steps, monitoring her thoughts. "This isn't a tracker," Jacob whispered. "It's a cage." Lena looked at him with tired eyes that had seen too much and remembered too little. Jacob took her to the old repair shed behind the base. It wasn't used anymore. No cameras, no eyes, just rust and silence. She sat on a stool while he brought out his tools. "I can try to disable it," he said. "But if I cut the wrong line," Lena nodded. She understood the risk. Her hands reached up slowly and pulled her hair aside, exposing the full collar. Jacob froze. There was a symbol on the back of the collar, faint, but still visible. A circle, with 3 sharp claws inside. The same symbol, from the dust. Jacob took photos and scanned the collar's systems. It had a kill switch. If someone tampered with it, or if Lena tried to run, it would inject poison straight into her veins. "She's owned by the Claw Syndicate," he whispered to himself. "They silence people, erase pasts, and sell futures." His hands trembled, with anger. Not at Lena, at the monsters who dared do this to her. Suddenly, the scanner beeped, a signal. The collar had sent a message. Someone knew it had been accessed. Jacob looked at Lena. "We have to move, now." They rushed through the old tunnels under the base. They led to forgotten places, dry storage, broken labs, rooms no one used anymore. Jacob had one place in mind, an old medical pod, half buried in storage, but still working. They reached it. Breathing hard, he opened the pod and scanned the collar again, then he paused. "There's a way," he said slowly. "I can't break the collar." Lena watched him closely. "But I can trick it." He reached for a frozen medical stim, a small gel chip, and an old pulse scrambler. "If I tell the collar your body is shutting down, it may release control." "Thinking you're dying?" Lena blinked, but she nodded. She was ready. The next moments felt like forever. Jacob worked fast. Gel applied to her neck. Pulse scrambling her readings. Stim slowing her heart rate. Her body went still. Her breath, soft. The collar blinked, and then released. It unclipped with a small hiss, fell to the ground, and didn't explode. Jacob picked it up, with shaking hands. "She's free." Lena slowly opened her eyes. She touched her neck in disbelief. Then her eyes filled with tears, not of pain, but relief. But before they could speak, boom. The door to the storage bay blew open. Armed guards rushed in, alien enforcers in black armor with the claw insignia. "Step away from the girl," they shouted. Jacob stepped in front of Lena. "She's not yours anymore," he yelled. A guard raised his weapon. "She was never yours to begin with." Lena stood up, trembling, but strong. Her voice rang out louder than ever before. "She is mine. My name is Lena of the House Varun, and I remember everything." The guards hesitated. That name, Varun, was not forgotten. It was feared, and it was true. One of the guards turned and ran. The others followed. Lena stood in the silence, breathing hard. Jacob turned to her. "You remembered?" She nodded. "The collar tried to erase me, but your kindness helped me hold on." Jacob smiled. "Then we're just getting started. A touch that changed everything." The storm had passed, but the air was still heavy. Smoke curled through the broken storage bay door. Lena stood tall beside Jacob, the old collar now lying on the ground like a dead snake. Her name had power. Her voice had returned, but something deep inside her had also awakened. Something older. After the guards fled, Jacob took her back to his room. He sealed the door and turned off the base's connection to external networks. They needed time to think, to breathe. Lena sat on his bed, hugging her knees. She was shaking again. Not from fear, but from something strange burning beneath her skin. Jacob handed her a glass of water. "Are you okay?" She didn't answer. Her hands were trembling, her fingers were glowing. Soft light danced across her skin. Pale gold, faint, like a spark waiting to become fire. Jacob crouched beside her. "Lena, what's happening to you?" She looked at him, confused and frightened. I don't know. My body feels hot, like something's waking up." He reached out and gently took her hand in his, and the moment their skin touched, everything changed. The room trembled. Lena gasped. Her hair lifted as if caught in wind. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, not purple, now shimmering with gold, and on her wrist a hidden mark appeared, a symbol of her people, a crest of royalty, of lost power. Jacob stumbled back, stunned. You're activating." Lena looked at her hands. "What does it mean?" Jacob blinked. "It means your blood is responding to something, maybe to freedom, or maybe—" He paused. "To me." That night, as they sat quietly, Lena told him what little she remembered. "When I was taken, I was still a child. My memory was cut, but I had dreams. Of a place with blue rivers, a woman with silver robes. She used to say, 'When the time is right, your light will find a mirror.'" She looked at him. "You are my mirror." Jacob didn't speak. He didn't know what to say. He just reached out and held her hand again. No shaking, just warmth. Outside, things were getting worse. News of the escaped royal slave had reached higher ears. Base Commander Soth, a half-human officer with deep syndicate ties, had received a direct message: "Eliminate her, and anyone protecting her." The next morning, Jacob and Lena snuck into the central database chamber. Lena's powers were still growing. She could now sense machines, feel electricity, hear silent alarms before they triggered. "I can guide you," she whispered. Jacob plugged in the memory shard. Files appeared. Hidden files. Documents proving that over 200 alien girls had been taken like Lena, stripped of identity, and sold to private bases for labor and silence. They weren't the only ones, but they might be the first to fight back. Jacob backed up the files. "We can send this to the council. The truth will bury them." Lena shook her head. "No, not yet. If we send it now, they'll destroy us before it spreads. We need help. A signal stronger than this base." Jacob nodded. "Then we leave. Tonight." Before they left, Lena stopped at the garden dome. It was the only place on base with real plants, imported from Earth. She touched a flower, a yellow one. It pulsed with light the moment her finger met it. Jacob watched in awe. She wasn't just glowing anymore. She was changing the world around her. "You're not just royalty," he whispered. "You're connected to something ancient." Lena turned and smiled, small but real. "I think I was always meant to meet you." Just then the sirens began to wail. The commander had discovered the data breach. Doors locked, alarms screamed. Guards stormed the halls. Jacob grabbed Lena's hand. "Run!" They sprinted through the base, dodging lights, sliding past closing doors. Lena's power shimmered with every step, blinking out cameras, unlocking gates with a wave of her hand. But as they reached the outer dock, boom! A stun blast hit the wall behind them. Commander Soth appeared with 6 guards, weapons raised. "You think you can steal from me?" he growled. "That girl belongs to the syndicate." Jacob stepped in front of her. She doesn't belong to anyone, Soth sneered. Then die with her. Before the guards could fire, Lena stepped forward. Her body was glowing. The light spread through the dock like a wave. Weapons shut down. Machines froze. The commander staggered back, shielding his eyes. Lena spoke. Her voice was no longer soft. It was full of power. You tried to erase me. But I remember. I see everything now. She raised her hand. And with a single pulse, every collar in the storage unit behind them broke open and shattered. Hundreds of tracking devices. Gone. Jacob stared in shock. You didn't just unlock yourself. Lena nodded. I unlocked them all. The guards' warning. They escaped. Barely. The dock was in flames. Systems were down. Guards lay unconscious in the halls, stunned by Lena's light. Jacob and Lena slipped through a broken airlock and ran into the wastelands beyond the base, into the freezing night. But they weren't free yet. They were being hunted, and the next warning would come from someone they never expected. Hours passed. They found shelter in an old mining hut, long forgotten by the base. It was small, cold, and dark, but safe. Lena sat by the window staring at the stars. Her powers had gone quiet. Her body ached. Her hands still glowed faintly, like cooling embers. Jacob built a small fire using scraps and wires. He watched her in silence. She was different now, not just glowing. She was awakening. Her voice was steady, her presence stronger. Her fear was fading. Are you okay? He asked gently. Lena nodded. I feel like I'm becoming someone I forgot. Jacob smiled. Whoever she is, she's brave. A knock. Soft, then again. 3 quick taps. Jacob reached for his tool blade and stepped toward the door. Who is it? A low voice answered. Open the door, I don't have much time. Jacob hesitated, then unlocked the door. A tall alien male stood there wearing a guard's armor, but his helmet was off and his face was tired. One eye was bruised. His name tag read, Dre. Lena gasped. You... He bowed his head. Princess Lena, I served your house. Before they took you, Jacob looked between them. You were a syndicate guard. I still am, Dre said. But not by choice. He stepped inside and locked the door behind him. They're coming for you, he whispered. The base has sent a signal to the black market, a bounty. You're worth more now than ever, alive or dead. Lena swallowed hard. How much time do we have? Hours, maybe less. They're sending the collector. Jacob tensed. He'd heard that name before, a hunter who never missed. A tracker who bought slaves, killed witnesses, and wiped entire records. If the collector finds us, Dre said, no one will ever know you existed. Jacob stepped forward. Then why are you here? Why help us? Dre looked at Lena. Because when she broke the collars, mine broke too. I wasn't wearing one on my neck, I wore mine inside. Hidden. Forced loyalty chip. Pain triggers. She freed me. Without even knowing. He placed a data card on the table. This has the collector's path. His lander will arrive at dawn. You'll need to leave before then. Jacob frowned. There's no ship. Dre's eyes flicked toward the window. There's one. Crashed near Ridge 3, old science vessel. Still dead. But you can fix it, can't you, human? Jacob nodded slowly. If I have an hour. Yes. Lena stood. We're going. Dre turned to her. There's something else you need to know. He reached into his armor and pulled out a tiny silver pendant. It was the same crest Jacob saw in Lena's memory shard. 3 stars around a rising sun. This is the seal of your mother. She wore it until the day she died. Lena's eyes welled with tears. She's gone. Dre nodded. She never stopped looking for you. She died protecting others like you, and she made me swear, if I ever found you, I'd remind you of your name." He placed the pendant in her hand. "Your full name is Lena Sarah Verun, daughter of the Lightborn line, truth-bearer of the fifth flame." The room fell silent. Lena gripped the pendant tightly. "I'm going to finish what she started." Jacob smiled. "Let's give them something they can't erase." Just before dawn, they reached Ridge 3. The ship was half buried in sand and snow. Its wings were cracked. The engines were silent. But the core systems still blinked. Jacob jumped inside, pulling wires, patching holes, rerouting energy. His hands moved fast. This was his language. Machines, not words. Dre stood outside, blaster ready. And Lena? She knelt in the sand, whispering, to the ship. Her hand touched the hull, and golden light flowed through the panels. Systems responded. Engines hummed low. The ship, like her, was waking up. Jacob looked out the window, shocked. "She's talking to it." Lena turned her head, smiling slightly. "It's listening." Just then, a shape appeared in the sky. Black, silent, moving fast, the collector's ship. Dre shouted, "Go! Now!" The engines roared. Jacob hit the thrusters. The old vessel groaned but lifted off the ground. They broke through the clouds just as a missile streaked past, missing them by inches. Lena stood at the cockpit window, eyes shining. "They can chase me all they want," she turned to Jacob, "but they'll never catch the girl who remembered who she is." She stood up and spoke. The stars were endless. The ship, half broken, half alive, flew through the darkness with fire in its tail and truth in its heart. Lena stood at the front window, eyes wide open, wind from the broken vent brushing through, her silver hair. She was no longer hiding, no longer silent, and her voice was about to shake the galaxy. Jacob guided the ship while Dre kept watch. The collector's vessel was still following, but slower now. Injured by the blastback from Lena's ship, it had lost speed, but not the scent. "They'll catch us again soon," Dre warned, "unless we make this count." Jacob nodded. "We can't outrun them, but we can outshine them." He turned to Lena. "You said your voice carries truth, that your name means something." Lena's eyes glowed faintly. "Yes, it does." "Then speak it," Jacob said. "Tell the galaxy what they did. Tell them who you are." There was a comm station on board. It was old, dusty, and silent. But with Jacob's hands and Lena's light, it came to life. He connected it to the outer band channels, the ones used for emergency broadcasts. Unfiltered. Unstoppable once sent. Lena stepped up to the mic. Her hands trembled for a moment. Then she remembered her mother's pendant in her pocket. She held it close to her chest, and she spoke. "My name is Lena Sarah Verun. I was taken from my home as a child, silenced, collared, made to forget." Her voice echoed across the galaxy, reaching ships, stations, colonies. "I was told I was nothing, that I was property, that no one would care if I disappeared." Her voice was not soft anymore. "I remember now. I remember my mother's voice. I remember who I am. I remember every girl I saw locked away, every name they tried to erase." On a station orbiting Gorna Prime, an old alien woman dropped her cup in shock. In a colony on New Terra, a mechanic stopped working and turned up the volume. Across systems, people listened and remembered her name. Lena continued, "I am not just a survivor. I am a witness. The Claw Syndicate stole hundreds like me, silenced us, hid us in shadows." Jacob stared at her, his chest full of pride and awe. "I now return their silence with my voice. I send my truth through every wire, every wave, every speaker that will carry it. We were never yours. We are not broken. We are not forgotten. We are fire in the dark." A moment of silence followed. Then, messages flooded the channel. "I remember Verun. They took my sister. We hear you, Princess." The truth had ignited. But outside, the collector's ship caught up. It fired one last missile, a direct hit. Lena's ship shook violently. Warnings screamed. The engine lights flickered. Jacob grabbed the controls, trying to stabilize. Dre shouted, "We're going down!" Lena stood firm, her eyes full of light. She walked to the engine room, hands glowing brighter than ever before. "Lena, what are you doing?" Jacob yelled. "I'm finishing it," she whispered. She placed her hands on the broken power core and gave it everything. Her light poured into the ship, rewriting wires, melting metal, reviving life. The ship didn't just fly, it roared. It became a comet in the sky. The collector's ship fell behind, engines overheated by the surge of energy. Lena collapsed, but Jacob caught her. "Stay with me," he whispered. She smiled weakly. "I spoke, and they heard me." Later, when the ship landed safely on a neutral outpost, council ships were already waiting, not to arrest her, but to protect her. Lena's message had traveled fast. Faster than any syndicate could hide. Proof of her story. Proof of the stolen girls. Names. Faces. Coordinates. The galaxy had changed overnight. Jacob stayed beside her as medics arrived. "She saved us all," he told one of the officers. The officer looked at Lena with awe. "No," he said softly. "She reminded us who we are." Days passed. Then one morning, Lena walked out of the recovery chamber wearing a white robe marked with her crest. She stepped up to the council, and she spoke again. This time, for everyone. "I was the girl who never spoke," she said. "But now, I will never be silent again."